Okay, the next concept that we need to deal with is called outliers. So outliers are observations that are extreme, okay, really large or really small. Okay. Well, there is nothing wrong with extreme values as long as it is a genuine extreme value. Okay. Larger the data set, you'll have more outliers, and the rule of thumb is about 3 standard deviations from the mean. So plus or minus, you from your statistics class, you know that for normal distribution, 99.99% of the observations will fall within plus or minus 3 standard deviations. For any old distribution, more than about 90% will fall within plus or minus 3 standard deviations. So anything that's outside the plus or minus 3 standard deviation, then you can suspect that maybe that is an outlier, okay, an unusual value. Okay. All right, so they may be genuine values. Those, just because it is unusual doesn't mean that they are illegitimate values. Okay, they may be genuine or erroneous. Erroneous could be misplaced decimal point. Okay, that would be an error. Okay, so in any case, you filter out those extreme values, and then you have to look at them and decide whether there is a mistake. If it is an erroneous value, and you can figure it out that this is the error, then you fix the error. Okay, sometimes you may be able to figure out what the error is. Sometimes you know that that is an error, but you don't know how to fix it. So for one of the examples that your textbook gives is, suppose if you've recorded body temperature, okay, and the temperature is coded as 175. Okay, so you know nobody can be alive with 175 temperature, so you know that that is a mistake, but you don't know what the genuine value is. Okay, so in that case, so what you do, you have to either throw that observation out, which you don't want to do unless you're forced to. So if you have lots of data points, then throwing out a few may not be a big deal. Okay, but you have to be careful. Okay, another alternative is either you throw it out, or another alternative is just erase that value, keep the observation, and make that value into a missing value. Then when you have a missing value, there are ways to handle missing values. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, so there are three. You look for outliers. Okay, and if you find a mistake, you're able to correct it. If you're not able to correct it and it's a mistake, then code it as the missing value. Okay, or if you have enough observations, throw that observation out. Okay, the fourth possibility is it is an extreme value, but it is a legitimate value. It is reasonable. It is not out of the reasonableness. Then you keep it as it is. It's an outlier, but it's okay. So those are the possibilities. Okay, so judgment must be made with the domain expert again, because the analyst may not know everything ins and outs of the functional area of the data. Okay, so if the number of outliers is very small, it might be treated as missing value, and we'll talk about handling missing values in a little bit. Okay, how do you detect outliers? So there are few techniques that you can use. You can generate and examine summary statistics. Okay, or we have the code summary. So if you do summary, it will give you the 5-number summary plus mean. So it will give you the minimum value, the first quartile, 25th percentile, mean, median, the third quartile, and then a maximum. So you look at the maximum and the minimum, and if the maximum and minimum seems all right, then everything else in between is all right too. Okay, so that's one way of examining for outliers. Okay, and then once you find that there are some columns that do have outliers, then you can take those columns and sort them in ascending order. Then you get the lower level outliers. You sort them in descending order, so you get the larger outliers. So then you examine them. Okay, so you can, there are a couple of ways in which you can do this. Use the R function order. Okay, then you can use box plot to visually see whether there are any outliers. Because box plot is, again, it takes the 5-number summary and puts it in a graphical fashion. Okay, and then you can also compute z-score and then look for z-scores that are greater than plus or minus 3 on either side. And we can also use what is called clustering technique. We haven't talked about clustering yet, so we won't worry about that at this point, how to do it.